is going well. Hopefully, we are looking forward to the physical presence of students now.
Oh, right. So these offline classes have been started?
Not yet, sir, but very soon.
We are
Sir, we are on live now. Sorry for the inconvenience, ma'am. Today it took a while for me to do that.
Okay, ma'am. That's okay.
problem, ma'am. No
Will we start, ma'am? Valli, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then, Ada, ma'am, this time is yours and the floor is yours. You can start, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm turning on the camera once again. I hope I'm audible and visible, and the presentation too is visible.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
All right. So, first of all, congratulations to you, Dr. Saravanan. Sir, I feel honored to be a part of the Velta Forum. And a very, very good evening to everyone virtually connected with us here on the Velta platform for the FDP. I, Adadev from Amity University, I'm here to speak on the topic, as you can see my screen, the perceptual metamorphosis of outlook through social encounters in Umaira Ahmad's Scheherazade. And I'm quite aware that the topic at the outset seems to be pretty confusing, but I request my audience to bear with me, to be patient, and I'm going to break it into fragments and explain what I have researched in this work. And before I begin my presentation, I would like to extend special thanks to my very able colleagues, that is Dr. ABR Prasad. Thank you so much, sir, and Dr. Kaushal Yadav, both of whom have constantly supported me in this endeavor, because this particular topic has been very close to my heart for the past 1.5 to 2 years, and I have continuously worked on it, researched, and both the colleagues have really helped me a lot in bringing focus to the important issues and relating it properly with literature and society. So thank you so much. And before I jump straight into my research, I'd like to first introduce the writer and give a plot overview of this novella, Scheherazade, because this writer is from Pakistan and she's a contemporary writer. So this is the second slide. I hope this is visible. Okay, so this is the picture of the writer, Umaira Ahmad. She is basically a Pakistani writer. She is an author, and she basically writes fictional stories and has penned more than 30 books up till now. And a lot of her works have been adapted as screenplays as well. If we talk about the themes that Umaira Ahmad deals with, she usually deals with man-woman relationships and societal issues in her novels. And in any novella that you will read, you will always find that the depiction of woman is at the core. So usually her protagonists are females, they are women. And if you look at this slide, there are a few works that I have mentioned: Scheherazade, Pir-e-Kamil, Zindagi Gulzar Hai, Alif. And some of these works have been adapted into screenplays and have been very, very popular internationally. There was also a channel called Zindagi Channel. I'm not sure if people have seen any or watched any serials on that channel. So that particular channel has aired some of the serials based on Ahmad's novellas. Now, if we focus specifically on this particular novel, the name is Scheherazade. The novel has originally been written in Urdu, and I had a very hard time finding the translation in English because I cannot read or write Urdu. So I read it in English. And I have watched the serial as well, and it's a beautiful serial. It's a beautifully written novella. The topic essentially translates into city of self. Sheher means city, and Zaat, Zaat, means self. So I'll give a brief introduction to Scheherazade because I'm assuming that most of the people are not aware of the plot. So I'll give a plot overview and then I will talk about my research related to the story. And just to make it a little colorful, I've also made some slides with the actors who have acted in the series. So, this is the protagonist. Some of you might recognize her as Mahira Khan. She's a very popular Pakistani actress. She has also worked in some Bollywood movies. She is playing the role of the protagonist, Falak Sher Afghan. Now, this is a fictional story of a beautiful young woman, Falak Sher Afghan, and she belongs to the elite section of the society. If we talk about her personality, she is somebody who is extremely arrogant. And at the outset, if you look at the plot, it appears to be a very basic and a very common plot of unrequited love, of obsession, of passion. But I'll tell you how it's different. So the story takes an amusing turn when Falak encounters this man, Salman Ansar, and falls head over heels for him. She pursues him and finally manages to grab his attention. But things go for a toss when everyone's beloved Falak, who is so much used to attention, receiving all kind of admiration, does not receive that kind of attention from Salman. And this is when she begins to obsess over this man, over her looks, over her appearance, over her personality, over her behavior. A woman who has always been so confident about herself, she begins to question her very existence. And her sole aim gets focused on winning Salman's heart. And she pursues him until he can no longer ignore her. She makes him the center of his universe. She begins to align herself with his likes and dislikes. But at the same time, there is a very interesting thing that we've explored in this novella, that she is a 21st century modern woman who is defying the old age gender dynamics of being pursued by a man. She is a very strong female character because she knows what her heart desires and she's not scared to go after it. So she definitely tries to pursue Salman, and when Salman asks her out, she is not a hesitant woman. They get into a relationship and they start dating, and soon after that Salman proposes marriage to her. Now the important thing here is to explore the reasons why Salman proposes marriage to her, because Falak's father, who is called Sher Afghan in the story, he does not approve of the match at all, because he feels that Salman's social and economic status is, he also comes from an affluent background, but it is not at par with theirs. And besides this point, there's a lot of age gap. Salman is almost 10 years older to Falak. But in the end, because she is the darling daughter, so Sher Afghan gives in to his daughter's wishes and the couple gets engaged. Now the story takes a turn because the first jolt that this woman receives from Salman is that he is ready to break off the engagement over a very minor issue. However, she bows down to his wishes and she convinces him to take the ring back, because you see, she's obsessed about him. She feels that anything that he desires, she has to align herself with that. And so there's a quote from the novella that I'd like to share. No, it's not here. Okay. Wherein she is saying that love makes people helpless and I've never cared for anyone like this before. Now that I love this person, I have finally understood how much a person has to bend over for love. And during this entire period of engagement, she is completely trying to mold herself for this man who is not putting in as much effort. So we also see a sort of, um, the relationship dynamics. It's a very interesting relationship dynamics. She's wearing the colors that he likes. She cooks the food. Somebody who has never cooked food all her life because she was so affluent, she never had to do anything. And she's doing all those things for Salman. And finally, life seems all rosy when she gets married to the man of her dreams, Salman Ansar. She is in seventh heaven. Now, one of the prime scenes in the novella is when the couple visits a place called Kamran Ki Baradari by boat. And as they are returning to the river from the river bank, uh, Falak encounters an old man who is in, sort of torn clothes, and he has a long beard, a very unkempt look, and he has gathered numerous stones in the hem of his shirt, and he is throwing them in a puddle of muddy water. And as the couple is passing by, the the dirty water, the muddy water, it gets splattered on Falak's garments, making her extremely enraged. And she admonishes the beggar, the fakir, the beggar, calling him blind and stupid. And this is a very, very important scene in the novella because he retorts back saying that, are you frightened of dirt? Do you think that this dirt will make you ugly, and it will make you disappear from someone's eyes? And here is a very important thing that the beggar focuses on. And he says that you are living in your make believe world and you think that everything is going to be rosy. But you are not yet acquainted with the destiny of men. And this is a quote from the novella that I have mentioned. It is the destiny of men to be beggars, but not the divine. The destiny of men is to beg and divine to give. Both you and I, Bibi, we're all beggars. If not today, then tomorrow or some other time. Some ask for love, some ask for the world or worldly things. Those who don't ask for this ask for the end of need and desire. Now, this also reminds us from Ecclesiastes, a quote from the Holy Bible, where it is clearly mentioned that all go to the same place, all came from dust, and we're all going to return back to dust. So, this social encounter with the fakir is a very new sort of an experience for a woman like Falak, and it is the first sign of spiritual guidance for Falak, which we will see. And there is after the passage of 6 months post this incident, Falak's life again begins to change, and she notices a difference in her husband's behavior. He's not as affectionate, he has become withdrawn, he has become distant from her, he begins to grow impatient quickly, and it rattles her, obviously, because she is madly uh, in love with him, and he's the only person who she would do all those things for. And so she initially she becomes worried and she ascribes it to some work related problem, but upon the advice of her friends, she thinks about confronting Salman directly. And her worst nightmares come true. Finally, when she confronts this man, her husband, and she asks him the reason for this kind of behavior, he does not hesitate in being truthful about his extramarital affair. And this marks the watershed moment in Falak's life because I know that you all have not read the novella or seen the series, but gauging from the description of the protagonist, like I've told you, she's obsessing about him, her world falls apart and she feels the ground slipping beneath her feet. And for the first time, she gets this feeling as if somebody has poured lead into her ears to torture her. That's how hurt she is. And now she is completely losing her mind. And the thought of losing Salman to other women is so scary that she becomes extremely jealous. And now her mind begins to work in extremely evil ways. She begins to think that if Tabinda is more beautiful than her, then she is going to burn the woman's face with acid, because this is the woman who has stolen her Salman from her in her mind, in her imagination. So she decides to meet Tabinda. And Tabinda, let me give you a brief introduction of Tabinda. Tabinda is a significantly older woman, and she works at Salman's factory. She is just a regular worker, an employee. And Falak puts on her best dress. She's looking gorgeous, she's looking beautiful. And she hides a bottle of acid inside the handbag and waits for Tabinda in the office. She asks somebody to call Tabinda. But when Falak finally meets her, she is surprised to see Tabinda, because, as per Salman's description, she was like an angel. She was so beautiful that he had never seen anyone as beautiful as Tabinda. But when Falak looks at Tabinda, she does not find her beautiful at all. She's a crass looking woman who has very who does not have good manners. She has pan stained teeth, and basically very crass looking woman, and nothing about her is elegant or graceful or beautiful. And now she has a nervous breakdown and she ends up in the hospital because she gets the news that Salman is going to marry this other woman, whether Falak allows for it or doesn't. Now she is there in the hospital for weeks, and after she recovers, after coming back to her maternal home, she realizes that she realizes the importance of religion and spirituality, and there is a complete change in her personality. We see that the woman who was so concerned about the shade of the lipstick and who was only worried about materialistic things, the cars that she would travel in, the kind of clothes that she would wear, the thousands of slippers and clothes that she had hoarded over the years. She is moving towards God, as she has been depicted as a Muslim woman. So there is a mention of God by the name Allah. So there is something. There's a quote that I'd like to read out from the novella, where she confronts her mother and she says that I have, Mummy, how have I lived a full 26 years without Allah? How did Allah tolerate me for 26 years? With my pride, my ego, my self esteem, and my self centeredness. How could Allah ignore all that? Allah tests those who He loves. For 26 years, Allah has not thought of me. And finally, we see that she's realizing that God is the Alpha and the Omega of the world. And it was completely wrong of her to put a human on that pedestal and expect godly things from a human. And uh, there are many other instances which show a stark change in her personality. This is one of them. There is an instance in the novella where she's coming back from the psychiatrist's office. She's being treated for mental disorders because her family feels that she has gone insane. She is not talking rubbish about a man who has broken her heart. She is being so kind about it, so graceful about it, that they feel that she has completely lost her mental balance. And there is a scene where she's coming back from the psychiatrist's office. Her mother is also accompanying her, and she encounters a young boy selling newspapers. Initially, she was the kind of woman who would just scare such children away and who would not even bother to open the windows, the car windows, but she pulls down the window. She hands him a 100 rupee note without buying any newspaper, and she wonders at his plight. And as the boy moves away and she sees him crossing the road, she lets out a scream when she realizes that there is a vehicle that has hit that boy. And now she is rattled. She wants to do something for that boy. But her mother does not allow her to get down from the vehicle, from the car. And she says that these are commonplace things, everyday occurrences for these people. And we should not get so bothered by these things because there's somebody who's going to take care of the boy. But she is not able to let go of that experience. It is something that has affected her at a very deep level. And for days, she keeps thinking of that boy. And one day, she sneaks out of the house to visit that boy's home. It's a juggi. It's not even a proper house. It's a very small place, just a one room thing where she enters, and she finds out about the boy, and she's very sad to hear about the boy's death. The boy had died that day. So she hands over some money to that boy's sister when she gets to know that he was the sole earner of that family. And she has this realization that this boy's home, even her bathroom is bigger than this boy's home. Now, this incident is an eye opener for her. She returns to her mansion with a very heavy heart for the first time, and she begins to ponder about these things that people live with so little. And I feel as if the world has come to an end for anyone. It is for me. I live in a 6 canal house, move around in cars that cost lakhs of rupees. I surround myself with luxuries. I fill my stomach with everything that is good. God has been so kind to me. Why? So, what am I looking for? Why would God look at me? Why would God look at me? I'm not trying to connect with Him at any level. And this also brings our attention to a very famous quote by the philosopher Ibn Arabi, who says that how can the heart travel to God if it is chained by its desires? Something that was happening with Falak. And now she realizes that she was drowning in a mire of desires and materialistic pleasures. And now she is just experiencing suffering, agony to a very, very high level. And there is a very important scene in the novella where she loses her mind when her mother confronts about her sneaking out of the house, and she starts throwing all of the things that belong to her, all her footwears, and she's screaming and she's crying. And her mother says that this is madness. What you're doing is madness. If God has blessed you with all these things, it means that He wants you to use these things, make use of these things, respect the things that He has given you. To which she replies that this is not madness. These cars worth lakhs are madness. These houses worth crores are madness. This carpet is madness. By walking on which we don't feel the thorns that others do. I have gone crazy. I have gone mad. People like you and me are mad. We love things so much that we have made life hell for people who don't have what we have. And God has not given us these things so that we could enjoy the luxuries. It is a test from God. God has given us these things because He wants to test us whether we will help the people or not, the ones who are not as blessed as us. And this also reminds us of Kabir's Doha, which I will read in Hindi, and I will also try to translate it in English. The quote says, "बड़ा हुआ तो क्या हुआ, जैसे पेड़ खजूर पंथी को छाया नहीं, फल लागे अति दूर," which translates as, "It is no use being very big or rich if you cannot do good for others." For instance, the literal translation of the quote is that palm tree, if you look at a palm tree, it is very, very tall, but it is of no use to the traveler as it provides no shade and even the fruit is at the top, so one cannot eat it easily. So that way Falak tries to make her mother realize what the purpose of having so much wealth is. And she continues to have a series of nervous breakdowns and is admitted to the hospital once again. She's absolutely crushed. And one day she decides to give away all of her belongings to the poor and the needy. And she sort of moves closer to God. She immerses herself in prayers. And this is a watershed moment in the novella, because as Falak moves away from materialism and into the unexplored terrains of the society, we witness a sea change in her personality and outlook. Her soul begins to get purified as she is treading on the path of renunciation. And renunciation is something which is an age old concept. If you look at religious philosophies, if you look at the Hindu philosophy also, renunciation has existed in the Hindu philosophy, like the concept of karma yogi. If you've heard about it, it exists in the Bhagavad Gita. And to explain what or who a karma yogi is, karma yogi is somebody who neither likes or dislikes and is free from the pairs of opposites like happiness and sorrow. Like, happiness and sorrow are all the same to him. He has achieved that level of, you could say, balance or control. So he is sort of a constant renouncer. And a person who is practicing karma yoga uh, is contented by the remembrance of the self and the supreme self, that is God, while doing devotional services. He does not have any interest in objects like good food, does not hate anything, whatever dry, tasteless food or rough clothes he receives as per his own luck. So, a being who has become very satisfied by the state in which he has been put. Now, she also treads on the path of renunciation. It begins to follow, and she takes on the task of helping the poor. She tries to solve their problems, and in her free time, she tries to read more and more about her religion, um, immersing herself in the devotion of the Almighty. And towards the end of the novella, we see that Salman meets the same fate in love as Falak. He had left Falak for a woman who he had fallen head over heels for. And now this woman treats him in the same way as he had treated Falak, or you could say in a worse manner, because she leaves him, she takes away all his money. And it is through his social encounters that he begins to realize how much heartbreak and pain he had probably caused his wife, Falak. And he begins to realize her importance in his life. He begins to miss her. And ultimately, there is a moment where we see that he's trying to reconnect with her. And there is a very beautiful thing about a Falak, that she does not disregard him or treat him unkindly the way he had treated her. Instead, she is extremely kind towards him. She empathizes with his pain. She listens to his tale of woe with a lot of patience in her heart. And she basically invites him to her home and discusses the problem. And he is completely taken aback because he knows how much pain he has caused this woman. And yet, she can be so kind and merciful towards him. So, the entire transformation in her appearance and personality completely surprises Salman. And now we see that this man who was not ready to take her calls, who was being so arrogant towards her, he's pleading her to come back home. And some of you might think that it was not a very apt ending, but she agrees to come home with him, but with a disclaimer. And she clearly tells him that today the person you want to take home with you is another person. For that Falak, you were everything. For this person, Allah is everything. So Salman agrees to her conditions, not really absorbing the depth in her words. And Falak quietly thinks to herself that I had loved him, but now there is nothing in people that I find captivates me. He thinks that everything is going to be like before. But how can it be after the Almighty has come in, after the realization of the self has come in? And while she is sitting with him in his car, he's taking her back to his home. She's looking out of the window and she thinks about these feelings, these emotions, these words, that separation, helplessness, loneliness, tears, desire, unrequited love, longing. What is this? What is all this? They are all paths of madness and unknown destinations. And the change in Falak's outlook towards life also brings our attention to famous lines written by a very, very famous shair or poet, Faiz Ahmad Faiz. And these are often quoted lines where Faiz writes, मुझसे पहली सी मोहब्बत मेरे महबूब न मांग, और भी गम है ज़माने में मोहब्बत के सिवा, राहतें और भी हैं वस्ल राहत के सिवा, which translates as, oh my love, don't ask me for the love I once gave you. I repeat, oh my love, this is the translation of what I just said in Hindi. Oh my love, don't ask me for the love I once gave you. Not only the grief of love, but the world is also full of other sorrows. Not only the grief of love, but the world is also full of other sorrows, heartaches. There is happiness other than the joy of union. So this is what Falak feels by the end of the novella, that there is so much of pain and suffering, and she was being very selfish when she was trying to understand the meaning of pain and suffering. It's something very universal. Even though it's personal, yet it's universal. And throughout the novella, now coming back to the topic, I will just go back to the first slide. The perceptual metamorphosis. Metamorphosis means change, and outlook means the way we perceive something. So there is a perceptual metamorphosis, that is, there is a change of perception of outlook through all the social encounters that the characters witness in the novel. Throughout the novel, we see that all of the characters' personalities are undergoing transformations. For instance, let's take Falak, the female protagonist. She undergoes a lot of change and transformation at every point. Her meeting Salman and falling in love with him reveals her vulnerable side, which she was not aware of. Then she undergoes a major transformation when she encounters the fakir, that is the beggar, and contemplates his words. She does not understand the depth of his words until she is placed in a similar situation where she begs for Salman's love. Another incident that adds to her changed perspective, we could say, is her encounter with the other woman, Tabinda, the second woman, where she is expecting Tabinda to be a very angelic, a very beautiful woman. But upon meeting Tabinda, she realizes that beauty is a very subjective concept. And it's not necessary that if you find somebody beautiful, the other person will also find them beautiful. It's a very subjective concept. And further, the death of the boy selling the newspapers also forces her to manifest her thoughts into actions, and she changes the course of her life. She leaves her life of comfort to serve the poor, the needy, the helpless, and all the pain and the pain and the suffering, the realization of the purpose of living. Now she has a purpose of living. It changes Falak from a naive young girl into an enlightened, humble, and empathetic soul. The encounters not only bring about a change in her perspective towards life, but also towards love. We see that she was a woman who felt that um, you needed somebody to complete you. Finally, she realizes that every being is beautiful. We only look for love to add something to that beauty. It's not that we are incomplete without it. And so she becomes nearer to God as she moves away from the glitz and glamour of the world. Her love for Salman also changes from madness and obsession to a very balanced form of affection. Now she's ready to take on the roles and responsibilities of a wife, and she's only going to give the amount of love that is reasonable, that is balanced in nature. Now she understands the reality of life. And not just Falak, if you look at Salman, we see a lot of transformation in Salman's personality. It is worth noticing a man who always took his wife's affection for granted is pining for her affection after being betrayed in love by his second wife, that is Tabinda. And not just Falak and Salman, there are a lot of other minor characters who I have not discussed at length. They are also going through transformations like Falak's mother. Because the concept of parenting also comes into play. She is accusing her mother of not teaching her about the really important things in life, like being spiritual, um, being away from materialism, praying for things, basically, and being empathetic, trying to look at the reality, the harsh reality of life, trying to experience the dark side of life as well, and not just the brighter side of life. So Falak's mother also undergoes a lot of change after she's condemned by her daughter for an upbringing which was devoid of the teachings of spirituality, the teachings of modesty, of kindness, of religion. And I would say that the readers of this novella too realize that social encounters always shape us, change us, test us, challenge us, and sometimes they will even break us. But it will always be up to us how, as to what learnings we take from them, whether we choose to become bitter or better. Because the circumstances of life will almost never be in our control, but how we react to them, that is the outcomes, they will always be in our control. So as far as learning is concerned for all the people who are present here virtually, I would say that one learning that you can take from this is that uh, it is very important to have a positive outlook, no matter what situation you are placed in life, because obviously you are going to be molded. If you have traumatic experiences, if you have bitter experiences, if you experience pain and trauma, of course it is going to affect you, but how it affects you is completely in your hands. Do you choose to uh, return those things to the world? Do you choose to be bitter? Do you choose to react negatively to those things? Or you choose to become a better person? Or you want to grow from those experiences? Or you want to expand your horizons? Or you want, or you make a resolution that you will not let this happen again to somebody else? Whether you become kinder or you become better, it's always going to be in your hands. So this was the major takeaway that I felt uh, was there in Umair Ahmed's Sherazad. And if you're interested in reading this novella, it is available on the internet. The series is also available on YouTube. So for those who understand Hindi and Urdu, they can even watch it on the internet. And there are a lot of other interesting novellas as well, like Pire Kamil, that is The Perfect Mentor. I have read that book as well. And even in that, the female protagonist is a very, very dynamic and a very strong one. Imama Hashim is the female protagonist of that novel. There are some other very popular stories by Umair Ahmed, like Zindagi Gulzar Hai, Alif, etc. So you can definitely read those works, and it makes for a very interesting area of research. There are a lot of themes, there's a lot of scope in this writer who has not yet been explored, probably because of the translation issues. She writes in Urdu. So hopefully, I hope that this has benefited the audience in some way, and probably given them ideas for research, etc. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Adadev ma'am. It's really an very interesting and insightful presentation. And thank you so much for your august presence and valuable time. And the floor is open for discussion. And please, over to all.
Congratulations to you, Ada Madam, first of all. It was really a wonderful presentation. Since so many distinguished teachers from different parts of the country are present, a few things I would like to share with you. Actually, this particular topic, when Madam suggested to me, I think 2 months or 3 months back, I thought like this. It's going to be a very simple book. It's going to be a book that deals with adventure or romance or something like that. But after going through that novella, I understood the gravity of the work. The topic is mentioned in that poster. Faculty members, researchers who are interested in going through that particular book, you can go through it. As Madam rightly pointed out, it is available only in the net. You cannot purchase this book. Actually, it is a translation. It is a translation from one another Urdu writer. This particular work, actually, it is very relevant. In the beginning, I did not say much about this particular work because then I thought suspense would get lost. Anybody who reads this book will understand that it deals with contemporary issues. As man becomes more and more greedy, he goes away from the Almighty. And the result is obvious. You see, climate change is taking place. Nowadays, you find people facing a lot of problems. There is no happiness. We have broken the word called trust. We cannot trust anybody nowadays. So, all these things are primarily due to the basic fact that we are going away from spirituality. This is the message which the author tries to drive home through this particular work. Researchers, faculty members, and my dear colleagues, you will really enjoy when you go through this book. It's a revelation. Actually, when I went through the novella, it was a revelation for me. A lady, that the protagonist of this particular work is Falak. She from a very rich family. She comes from a very rich family. She leads a very happy life. But as the novella goes on, as the story proceeds, you notice that she is not getting certain things. Love from her husband, love from certain people whom she expects. So she understands that it is only by our faith in God, we can get happiness. She starts doing a kind of contemplation. She understands the lofty things of life. This is a very short work. If I am right, it runs to 60 to 70 pages. Am I right, Ada Madam? The work
Right, sir. It's a novella, very short novella. Can be read in 2 days easily.
It can be read in 2 days, but it has a lot of meaning. One has to reflect. One has to reflect as one reads. We cannot do a quick read of this work. I don't want to go more and more light, since Madam has already said something about interesting incidents mentioned in the book. One only point I would like to add here is belief in God or faith in God, spirituality. These are the cornerstones of our life. And as the world is getting more and more materialistic, it is literature that gives us balance. It is literature that makes us think. And as a faculty member teaching literature, I feel indeed honored to read such really excellent works of art. And my humble request to all the teachers who are present here, kindly go through this work. Certainly, your time you will have a sense of fulfillment. And I think I should put a temporary full stop here. And I must appreciate once again the speaker for giving a wonderful presentation. So you people can ask your questions now. I'll be very happy to listen to your questions. Jagannathan sir, I'm seeing you. I'm very happy. I will be very happy to answer your questions. Madam is also there. Over to you, sir.
Shadadev ma'am, good evening. I'm Chandrasekhar from Vijayawada. And today's talk is quite absorbing. The way you narrated, we used to say that certain authors have gripping style. You slowly have observed us in such a way that from the right from the beginning till the end, we have been traveling with you. Perhaps we have been being flooded away by your beautiful speech and beautiful English. And after a long time, I have had a crystal clear voice and a very beautiful English. Perhaps I belong to a school of old thought and expect the English language sound like English. And
that's very kind of you, sir. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. And it's a fresh press. We have breathed a fresh air into this wealth of form, by touching upon the latest novels. And as you mentioned in your discussion of the book, we saw all pine for love, and for that matter, every human being, not only human being, even the smallest creature, the animals, their babies crave for love. Without love, how can we live? I don't know.
Very true.
Okay, and one more thing. You have said Karma Yogi, Karma Yogi, I would like to better your definition of this term. Karma Yogi is one who does his duty without expecting any return. Karma Yogam or Karma Yogi, the one who does the things, does his duty, do it. He doesn't wait for the result.
Right.
The one who takes the result, be it good or bad, is termed as Chitta Prajna in Sanskrit and Stoic in English. I think you are just a bit confused there. Okay.
I didn't get the word, sir. The Sanskrit.
Okay, understood. Okay. But Karma Yoga is nothing but Karma Yoga is helping others and doing our work. And in fact, if you give something in charity to others, generally we expect some punya, some pious thing, but it's wrong on our part, offense on our part to expect it so. You should be grateful to him instead of he to you, because he has given an opportunity to help you, to extend your charity. That's one thing. And one more thing, metamorphosis, metamorphosis is the change of, is the law of nature, It is mandatory for nature as well as for the people, Unless you change yourself, even though you are being confronted by social encounters, situations, and different things, So there is, we can, in literature, we term these characters as flat characters, Flat. You should change, And one more thing you have said, adversity is the touchstone of man's character. It is the difficulties and adversity that brings perhaps the best of us, the mentaliness and your inner courage perhaps to fight with them. We have seen many instances. Okay, thank you. It's a very wonderful presentation. I'm very much touched by the way you have narrated, which is very gripping, and you have absorbed us into your style of teaching, style of learning. And one more thing, you have beautifully, since you are from Uttar Pradesh, you have rendered Urdu also. Thank you very much. You have translated them very beautifully.
Thank you.
Tons of congrats from my heart. Thank you, my young professor.
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you so much for throwing light on this topic and the way you have explained so many other concepts and you've expanded on the concept of Karma Yogi. Thank you so much for doing that.
And one more thing, ma'am, we feel like immediately I would like to go to the internet and read the novel by myself. And Mr. Babu sir explained, it's not available. One should, even though it runs to 60 pages or even one page,
Sure,
so
sir.
you have said your own experience, And literature is to be experienced individually only,
Right, sir. Since literature, the people from this field, they're so emotional and so perceptive.
Yes, yes.
I can guarantee you that if you're a very a sensitive person, it will bring tears in your eyes.
Definitely,
It
ma'am.
is so deep. The author has written it so beautifully. Even though I did not get the chance to read the original work,
Oh.
but if the translation did this to me, I can only guess what the original work is like.
After reading the novel, that what's that book?
It's called Scheherazade by
Ah.
Umaira Ahmed, and
After reading
I will
it,
send the link, sir. I will
okay,
send
ma'am.
the link in the
After
group.
reading it, as you have put it very beautifully, if we do not shed tears or become at least tearful, or at least our eyes do not become wet, and you are not a human being at all. Thank you very much for making me say all this. I don't know whether sensical or nonsensical. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam, for nice presentation. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, ma'am Azade. I'm seeing you for the third time on this forum. Although today I was officially busy doing some work, I couldn't listen to what you said, but I could listen to what Bodapati sir was saying. And I could relate to earlier interactions of yours. So that was absolutely in sync with what your presentations are like. And we have the facility of viewing all those things we miss on the YouTube channel. Today only I took the channel link. So I think it will be some time for me before I see the recording and get back to you. But definitely, you do come out with concrete information, the flow, the spontaneity, the beauty, and that, honey-like, that manifestation of
Thank you so much,
literature.
ma'am.
So, because your first session was the one that impressed me so much that I still remember. And honestly speaking, I was wanting to save time for your session. And I got a urgent phone call, and I had to do something on the portal. So I had to miss it, but never mind. I'll see the recording, and I know there's one bonanza waiting for me on YouTube. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. And it really works as an encouragement when appreciation is given in such an elaborate manner. It feels like it's coming from the heart. It's not just for the sake of saying. Thank you so much. And definitely, I look forward to coming up with more such presentations in the future. I hope so.
Yes,
God blesses me. I will
Most
definitely.
welcome. Most welcome.
Thank
God
you.
bless you, Ada.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malti Sharma ji and Chandrasekhar sir, for and again our Dr. Babu sir, Babu Rao sir, for all Babu Prasad sir for your wonderful inputs. And anybody else who would like to add on to whatever our other Dev ma'am has presented, you are most welcome. And
Before anybody speaks, just one point I would like to add here. Whatever religion we follow, the essence of every religion is the same. In Buddhism also, there is one concept given by Gautam Buddha. I think all of you know this. Desire is the root cause of all evil. This is the first tenet given by Gautam Buddha. This is enlightenment. Desire is the root cause of all evil. And even in this particular work, which Madam spoke about just now, it is excessive desire that causes pain. It is excessive greed that leads to all complications in society. And only our field, that is literature, can can open our eyes. Now, what we notice, in the name of professionalism, in the name of we lose certain qualities. So it is high time. It is high time we once again start paying close attention to our religious texts also, because religion teaches us so many things. Now the forum is open for others. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Babu sir, for your wonderful input. And again, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the elite people and
especially. I would like to add one more thing. Especially, I must congratulate you for having brought the fresh lease of air, and you should invite the young professors of this sort and make them deliver the lectures and the talks on latest books. Perhaps they might be technical savvy. They're good at it. Of course, you also belong to the category. You don't belong to my category as per age. But let the young come forward and give the beautiful presentation. Really, I'm touched by her articulation of the language and the way she has delivered, and with ease and then comfort, she has absorbed into narration of the novel, which also has made us taken into her absorption. Wonderful things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, Chandrasekhar sir, and thanks for your
thank you, and
valuable input. Anybody else who would like to say?
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone, and especially I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Radha Dev madam, and again, ma'am, our heartfelt and sincere thanks to you, ma'am, and again, our credit, that is our thanks also due to our Professor Babu Prasad sir, Dr. Babu Prasad sir of Ahmed University, and again, I would like to take this opportunity to extend a hearty welcome to Kodai Kani ma'am of Annar Thirumalai Nayakar College of Madurai. And first of all, I would like to register my heartfelt and sincere thanks to Dr. Prema Madam of Madurai for giving the lead in getting our Kodai Kani ma'am to this Welta forum. And thank you, ma'am. And again, hearty welcome to Kodai Kani ma'am for presentation and on Lajja. That is the thing. And again, without taking much time, I'm handing over this directly. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Hearty welcome.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So, good evening to all. First of all, I thank Dr. Saravanan sir for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Actually, yesterday I was attending both the sessions, and I found a great difference in this forum. Usually, we might have attended a lot of seminars and a lot of webinars and so many sessions, but what I felt is, usually in all other sessions, the learned professors, they used to criticize the speakers or just. So here I felt a lot of difference. Like they used to give suggestions instead of criticizing. They used to give suggestions and they used to encourage the young professors, and they used to give chances. So for this, I would like to thank my heartful thank to Veta Forum. Thank you, sir. And because of this, I got motivated myself, and all the words. Yesterday I heard so many things, and I got motivated myself, and I thought of sharing my analysis in the novel Lajja, written by Taslima Nasreen. So, shall I share my presentation, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are most welcome. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Once again. Is my screen visible, sir?
No, ma'am, you are not presenting it.
No, ma'am, it's not visible yet.
Yeah, one second, ma'am.
Yeah, before ma'am is getting connected this presentation, I would like to introduce formally our Kodekani ma'am to this Belta forum. Kodekani ma'am is an assistant professor of English, the Department of Tirumalai Mannar College there in Madurai. It's a very reputed institution in Madurai. And madam has got various institutions, these experiences from various institutions, especially she worked in Lakshmi College of Education, Gandhigram, and she has done her PhD in portrayal of women in social political approach to Taslima Nasrin's novel. And again, teaching experience, she has got 7+ years of teaching experience, and she has taught for both post-graduation and undergraduation students. She is also member in charge of Rotaract Club, Placement Cell, and again member in Criterion. And she has published in UGC notified journals, as well as she has presented number of papers, and she has contributed book chapters to this with ISBN number. She has organized programs, and again online courses she has completed in Universal Teachers Academy, and again various courses, online courses. She is also attended various programs, both online and offline. She has participated in FTPs and workshops, conferences, and seminars. And such a very resourceful person has agreed to be the second presenter of this world, that is this faculty development program. Madam has attended number of workshops, conferences, FTP, and she has achieved 100% results. And again, cultural studies. She has passed this examination conducted by Vivekananda Academy of Cultural Studies. She holds a diploma in distinction in national level exhibition of art. She stood first rank in psychology of learning and human development, and she's also a university rank holder and best outgoing student award winner, and such a very resourceful person. I take immense pleasure and deem it a pleasure in presenting our Kodekani ma'am to this Delta forum. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I'm trying to share my screen once again, sir.
Before presenting it, first open your presentation, then click on the 3 dots, then share screen, automatically share. Well, ma'am, please give your hand.
Ma'am,
Help.
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am, press the presentation icon, ma'am, then open the PPT. If you find any trouble, please send it to us, ma'am. We will share it.
Yeah, it shows my share tab is not opening, ma'am. Let me try in my mobile. My PC, I think the tab is not working.
Madam, are you connected with your laptop or tabletop computer, madam?
I have connected with my laptop only, sir. Just now I'm trying in my mobile.
See, share with the full screen, madam. Share a full screen. Share your full screen.
Sir,
Go to the presentation and share your full screen. Full screen.
Yeah, your entire screen. Yeah, that's why in that my share tab is not working.
Oh. Then only madam can ask you to send your presentation.
Yeah, ma'am, you are presenting through your mobile, I think.
Okay. Now it's okay.
Ma'am, I think you can hold your mobile in landscape. The PPT.
Is it okay now?
Ma'am, it's okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, you can proceed, ma'am. Proceed. Yeah.
English or technically going for
Yes, sir. Couldn't. Even yesterday, Radhi ma'am had facing some difficulty. I could understand. But I checked even afternoon. I checked. It was working, but while presenting now, I couldn't be able to connect.
I can understand and just to go ahead.
Okay.
Ma'am, if you find trouble, please send it to Velta mail ID, ma'am. We would be happy to present it for you.
Please, sir.
Ma'am, Kode ma'am, you
Yes,
just
sir.
now open this your presentation and start doing the presentation, ma'am. If possible, if it is there on WhatsApp, you can share the same with Valli madam's WhatsApp number.
Sir, I have shared to you a number. Can you
Otherwise, share
Valli ma'am's number?
I can in turn share it to madam.
Yes, sir. I have shared to your number.
Please, ma'am.
Sorry for the trouble, and the professors. Please excuse me. Okay, anyway, let me start.
Not at all, ma'am. You can start your presentation.
No, ma'am. See, this is normally happening. It's happening to all.
Ma'am, your screen is visible.
Sir, shall I start? I couldn't share my PPT. Sorry for that.
Yes, ma'am, you start. In meanwhile, we will try to share it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So,
don't worry.
yeah. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Without PPT also you can present, ma'am. Not an issue. You look at your PPT and start doing it.
Okay, ma'am. Fine. Thank you, sir. So, yeah. So as I said before, so this is a great platform for me. I'm going to share my analysis in the novel Lajja by Taslima Nasreen. So today in this forum, I would like to discuss communalism and feminist perspective in Lajja. I hope everyone knows this famous personality, Taslima Nasrin. So, a Bangladeshi writer, not only a writer, a multiple personality. She's a doctor, a feminist, a secular humanist, and a human rights activist. So, today my outline will be like I'm going to share few incidents on history which recollect us a certain incidents and how this writer, that is Nasreen, has become a famous literary celebrity all of a sudden after publishing this novel Lajja, and my analysis on communalism and subjugation of women in Lajja. So, based on this outline, I'll be discussing a few points in this forum. So, if we talk about history, history just teaches us that religion has been one of the most compelling reasons behind great wars. So many wars. So behind so many great wars, religion may be the reason. So through evidentically or through historically, we have so many evidences. So, like that, I have pointed out a few incidents, namely the exodus of Israelis from Egypt and the separation of Hindus and Muslims in India during independence, and the a sudden departure of Kashmir Pandits from Kashmir, and the mass exodus of Hindus from Bangladesh, a secular country, in 1971. So Nasreen's Lajja, I would like to call it as to be a history mixed fiction, where Hindus exodus from Bangladesh into India. So all of a sudden, a large number of people, that to a particular community people, they have been migrated to another place. So through this, like this, there are a lot of evidence we can collect from history, and and because of that, even a religious war happened in our country and in all over the world, I would say. And secondly, how all of a sudden this particular writer, Taslima Nasrin, has become a celebrity. So after publishing this novel, she became a famous personality. So the ideas and the facts discussed by her in this novel, it had created a great impact all over the world, especially in Bangladesh, and it made the discussion and the thought, the plot, and the facts and figures discussed by her in that particular novel Lajja made the novel to be banned. Okay. She was forced to leave Bangladesh in the year 1994. So personally, she suffered a lot. So after publishing this novel, personally she suffered a lot, and even fatwa was issued against Nasreen, and a reward was offered for her death. So personally, she was affected a lot, and she shared a lot of sufferings, even on by their own community people. So at present, she is residing in Delhi, and mostly she used to focus on particular themes like social discrimination, oppression, identity, and of course, religion. So I wonder, on seeing this writer, being a woman, of course, many women writers have raised their voice against the feminism, but she stood against her own religion, isn't it? Her own religion, sense, tradition, culture, which is unbelievable. So that made me to focus on her writings. So that's why I was much interested on her writings. Usually we never do such things. So I feel, personally, I feel what she did is something great. I hope you people will agree with me. And in this novel, she has been discussing about communalism, isn't it? So you might have, I would like to recollect the incident of Babar Masudi. So when the demolition of Babar Masudi on 6th December 1992, which is took place in Ayodhya, it created a large scale violence and it resulted in thousands of deaths and injuries. It also reflected not only in that particular place, it also reflected in Bangladesh, that is a neighboring country where Hindus were considered as an associate in this shameful act. So the the people thought that even here they had some association with this demolition. So what happened? Even though previously, even sir, in previous session, Prasad sir informed that so many religion, although every religion, whatever it may be Hindu or Muslim or Jainism, Buddhism, whatever religion it may be, every religion preaches tolerance and respect for others. But people, we are not practicing it. So not many people practicing them. So Lajja is a vocal protest of Nasrin against communalism. So people have to treat others in an equal manner. Even you might have heard a recent news how a Muslim girl harassed for wearing her hijab. So whatever religion may be, so even it may be Hindu or so, we have to be. We should think that beyond religion, tradition, and culture, first we have to consider our fellow beings. So we should have a thought that they too are human beings. So that has been much insisted in this novel, and the violent atmosphere created in Bangladesh because of the demolition of Babar Masudi, the particular community, that is the Hindus, lost their roots. So as they start questioning their true identities. So in the name of religion, people robbed and plundered the shops and houses of the particular community has been demolished by particular other community people. So the novelist believes that the religious fundamentalists are the enemies of the entire human race. So where they target to disrupt the peace and harmony of the human community, the human race. So this will be the main target of the religious fundamentalist. So this will be the main target for communalist. So just they used to destroy the harmony or the harmonious atmosphere of human community. And usually, many they used to talk about the subjugation, okay, and subjugation and women. So, in the same way, the particular writer Nasreen, even in this novel Lajja, she used to talk about the violence of women has been a major problem. So, and it's a matter of concern. So, many writers they have portrayed the struggles and the plight of women in Bangladesh after the demolition of this particular incident. In the same way, this writer also has beautifully described in her novel based on the struggles of the women characters. So, how the women characters, how the women protagonists, they struggled. So, what would be how they have been, how they failed to recognize, and they couldn't survive in a particular community, and they couldn't survive even though he's talking about the test family, how it had been a great struggle for a particular family after an incident. So all of a sudden, they have been staying in a particular place for several years, but all of a sudden, the lifestyle has been changed. So not only the lifestyle of men, even because of the political issues, the lifestyle of women also will be affected. So that is the another aspect here through this novel. She wants to insist even in political changes, the political aspects. Not only men is going to affect, even women how they are suffering. So that has been portrayed in this novel beautifully by Nasrin. So particularly the female characters of the Taslima Nasrin novels are Kiran Moi and Maya. who acted as per the norms of a patriarchal society. Okay, so we have a patriarchal society. So the character has been beautifully portrayed in that structure. So she has highlighted the conditions of those women and surviving in the marginalized society of Bangladesh and were oppressed by for being Hindus. So the particular incident reveals much more the pathetic condition of women. For example, the kidnapping incident. So one incident will be the kidnapping incident, and the kidnapping incident of a particular character called Maya. I would like to consider this as to be a violence and inhumanness. So the women were viewed as the victims of the dominating society. So usually it happens. So at the end, Maya was killed, after which the Datta family moved to India. The decision narrate, the style of the narrating. So it, while we are reading it, we used to feel the same pain, insecurity. It has been beautifully described in this novel, Lajja, by the writer. And I would like to read few lines. With these lines, we may understand what would be the impact. So let me read those lines written by the writer. Mobs set fire to their homes after looting and plundering everything they could find of any value. At least 500 million worth of property has been burnt and lost. 2 people have died and 200 have been hurt. People don't have clothes and food to eat. Streets are full of homeless people. So she wants to insist, the writer wants to insist, through this violence and such way of activity, people they are not going to get anything, so except loss. Why they are not aware of it? So that is the main thing I would like to insist here. So whatever, so as I said, if you are considering other as same, so if we have to consider other being beyond the religion, beyond their culture, beyond their tradition, we have to consider people as humans. So that's what. If you are considering that, it all such things will never happen. So it has been insisted by her in this novel. And I feel that Nasreen did not write this novel Lajja to entertain the readers, but to fight and oppose the injustice, gender bias, and women oppression. She appears to be loud and clear when she argues the purpose of the nation and society cannot be served by making the minority community non-existent. Instead, the country can progress only by maintaining communal harmony. So unless we are not maintaining a communal harmony, a nation won't be in a progress manner. So we have to consider. So simply this in the name of religion and in the name of communalism and this blind fantasism destroy their sense. I hope people who think that people who gives priority for religion and their culture and tradition, I hope it destroys their sense of humanity. Actually, we have to consider humanity first. So it destroys their sense of humanity and it gives the strength to commit such crimes, so which hurt others, and they too may be the losers. So even they are doing all these things, they too are going to be the losers. But even without knowing that, in anger or having much faith in their tradition and religion, they are subjugating other community, which is also going to harm them. So this is highly insisted through this novel, Raja. And the violence of women, okay, the struggles and plight of women after Baba, how they are suffering, and the characters. So the cultural setup after an incident of Babal Masudi, what happened, and the cultural setup, how it has been just they have to lose their identity. Even Kiran Mohi, protagonist, one of the protagonists, she afraid to just keep bindi. If they identify, if the people, other community people, if they identify her as Hindu, they may kill her. So she has to lead like such type of lifestyle after the particular incident, and how even in their house, how the men are treating women. So in this novel, so just as I said earlier, I wonder and I admire this writer because she's against her community in the sense that she's not she doesn't lose faith in God, but she knew that the community people, or they are not just treating the other community people in a harmonious manner. So it should be changed. So the thought process should be changed. So that's what I admired in this novel, and I thought of sharing with you. So I would like to conclude my presentation by uttering the words of Taslima Nasreen once again, that the purpose of the nation and society cannot be served by making the minority community not existent. Instead, the country can progress only by maintaining communal harmony. So, finally, just I would like to thank everyone for your patience listening. Thank you, one and all.
Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you very much. The name of Taslima Nasreen itself carries all the ideas and all her struggle and all the stand that she had taken in her life for the freedom of women, for the rights of women, for the mental liberation of womanhood. So it's something great that she had done, and you covered up the whole essence of what Taslima Nasreen actually wishes to say through her characters, through the episodes that she adds in her works. So it's wonderful that she actually addresses those things which generally people there was a point of time when there was a threat to her life. Still, she did not bother much, although she had to go through all those challenges, but still she remained at her grounded, like she did not lose her ground. And that was something which people, because it wasn't a hidden fact. She was highlighted for all that she was doing, and all those things were very much in the media. So, having known the woman as a writer, as a woman, as a struggler, as someone who stands for a cause, it's a great thing that she's doing to the world of literature, to the world of freedom, to the world of womanhood. And the way you have covered it up is really wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And even she has tweeted recently, ma'am, that she has been alone for a long time, and because of the threat, so she could easily carry over all these COVID-19 issues. So she has tweeted recently in that way. So just thought of pointing out that here in this forum.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
But a beautiful presentation. Lasha, as you know, the meaning of it is shaming. In fact, the country should be ashamed of behaving so now. The very beginning of the novel would be let the humanity be the other name of the religion.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course.
See, now how beautifully she has put it in. And one should remember that a poem, one security lies with the security of all only. If a portion of the society, or if a section of the society is suppressed because of oppression, because of and so many things, how can the other sections of the society, being human beings, can enjoy, can relish anything, even their food? I don't know. Oppression is there always, and she's the response. She's a response to that anti-roids in that particular place because of the breaking of the bubble.
Yes,
Shows that she's above all, she's a humanist.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
what
that's
Bertrand Russell in his most of his articles says, especially man's peril, about the world war with bombs and all. You forget you're a Hindu, you're Arab, you're an African, you're an American, Englander. But remember that you're a human being.
yes, of course.
Humanity itself. It is humanity that binds us all. That's the very purpose of literature, reading literature, and it is the very essence of the education. Unless we reflect what we have learned, the essence of the education in our emotion and displaying our emotions, perhaps. What's the fun of being educated? I don't know.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Wonderfully
sir.
done. It, it makes us to go get that novel and read Navishkar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your encouraging words. Thank you, sir.
You could have finished very, I don't know, you could have stretched over to some more time.
Yeah, I thought of, but I couldn't present my PPT. If my PPT had been, I would be prolonged at least some more times. So it may be
Ma'am, that
maybe
PPT should be
in
your mind,
next time.
Your mind should be the PPT, that's all. Next time, without helping, without taking any aid, try to present yourself, taking using the entire span of time. Thank you.
Yeah,
Congratulations from the bottom of
sure.
heart.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
It's very nice presentation. This is the first time that I listened to your guest lecture. Ma'am, can you
Yes,
hear
ma'am.
my voice?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're audible, ma'am. Very, ma'am.
You presented well.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Arisu sir, for your text message.
Malati ma'am,
Yes, sir.
today with these two speakers, young speakers, haven't we felt that a fresh and cool breeze has breathed into our into wealth of home?
Yes.
Wonderful. Really, I felt thrilled.
Yes, sir. No,
Both have done very well. Both have done very well.
both
So even I have to thank sir for giving us such opportunity.
ma'am.
Thank you for this forum. Welcome forum.
Both ways.
Always we are there, and you can plan for no next presentation also. And this is how we grow. That slowly and gradually, we think and try to do really. So thank you, and again, hearty congratulations first of all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And
I would like to say
because of just such a senior professors who are motivating us. So because of that, all of a sudden I got motivated and just I thought of presenting. So this is the true reason, ma'am. Actually, only yesterday I attended this two sessions and I got motivated myself and I thought of just presenting.
self-motivation is the best motivation, ma'am. And honestly, it is like very mutual. We thank the speakers. They always thank Welta Forum, and the Welta Forum always remains grateful to all those people who
come so lovingly, so affectionately, so full of academic inputs and experience and so many things. There are so many dimensions coming in.
Ma'am, it's like interdependence, interdependence.
Yeah. So and 1, 2, 3 session, and then we forget everything that we are just insiders and we are just members of a family.
That's all.
So, Kodaikani ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
if the literature or if a particular genre of literature is your forte, I would request you to, like, suppose feminism or something that you are interested in. Please, there is so much of scope to share things here.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
And you need not prepare much, because the way you have delivered, probably you would just come and start speaking and it would go okay.
Yeah, okay, fine. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, like me.
So much of technical problems, so much of the like your PPT not working and all those things still, and you say you just got motivated yesterday, and this is your input. Then
Yeah.
I really have a lot of expectation from you.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Next time let me come up with
Yeah.
sure, ma'am. Next time I'll do
It's
better.
ready.
So, Katakani ma'am,
Yes,
I'd like
sir.
to add, Malta ma'am, through you, I would like to advise the young professors, let your mind and heart be the laptop, your presentation.
Yeah, sure,
Let
sir.
your
Yes,
knowledge
sir.
be stored in your heart.
Yes, sir, of course. Sure,
Yeah, I
sir.
present in my all the presentations. I'm against actually using laptop in presentations. I'm not savvy on it. Moreover, I'm a regular radio listener. Still, I listen to radio. Maybe
Oh,
it's a wonderful imagination, imagination.
yeah. Yes, sir, yes.
Recently, I have done a presentation on Ash, a wonderful aid for teaching English, in which I have almost narrated, tried to give try to describe the ad and the picture also in it, photograph also, with my words, so that the people could imagine in their minds, For example, Rasna,
Yes, sir.
I used to have a soft drink. I love you, Rasna.
Uh,
I described a short girl with a twinkle in her eyes and a bob
yeah.
hair. She just she leans her head towards the left shoulder and says, "I love you, Rasna."
Yes, sir, yes.
How beautifully we could picture it,
Yeah.
audience.
Yes, sir, yes, of
I
course.
want all of the young professors like you.
Love you, Rasna. It is love you,
Oh,
Rasna.
yes, ma'am.
Next time, I take liberties with Katakani ma'am. Next time, if you say that I have forgotten my laptop, I could not be savvy with it, don't say that. Let everything be from your mind, that's all.
Okay, sir, sure,
And you
sir.
don't mind my taking liberties with you.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. I
Thank
will.
you.
It's a family, so you can all just be okay with everything that you say.
Of course, ma'am. Yes.
Malati ma'am, in Vijayawada, there is a newspaper for which there was editor recently passed Raghavacharya, his name was. He could speak on any subject without a piece of paper.
Yes.
He could address the professors and deal with people, and he could talk to the same topic with the layman and anyone. And he never carries even a small slip. Everything will be in his mind. He speaks, perhaps he can speak at the most 15 to 20 minutes. That would be volumes and volumes of information and knowledge. We can expand that into hundreds of pages.
Oh.
Pregnant with meaning, pregnant with ideas.
Yes.
And wonderful presentation. He is quite easy with Urdu. He knows very well. He studied in Urdu medium.
Okay.
Because he's from Warangal, in which Urdu was dominant by the time. All the Hindus used to read in Urdu medium. He knows Urdu, Hindi, English, and some other languages also. Wonderful.
Yes. So sometimes
Prime Minister also, without any piece of paper, used to quote, used to.
So, ma'am,
I used to wonder at him.
Nothing, ma'am. I would like to tell you. But if you want to speak anything that comes to your mind, anything your tongue allows you become the politician.
Sure, sure.
Nobody minds. Neither the
No, sir.
neither the people nor the speaker is interested in it. What is going on? Just the session goes on.
We used to wonder at his speech, no, sir. Anyway, either he speaks in Hindi or English, rarely English. We have to thank Delta Forum, really. Ma'am, Malti ma'am, Dr. Saranan sir, and other organizers. You are giving opportunity to all the staff, equal opportunity that too. Daily you are organizing a program, FTP or international webinar.
Madam, after all, it's through sharing the knowledge with the dialogue and debate. Discussions only we learn knowledge, we get enriched, we enrich others, we get enriched by others also.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Actually, on Delta Forum, we have realized one thing, that there are people who really crave for knowledge.
Yes, sir. Yes.
That craving is so much there in us that we, all of us and all age groups, from Veer Raghavan sir to the tiniest of the member of the forum, age-wise, I'm saying, all of us. Yes, sir.
We being the eldest should face a tough competition with Kathakali madam and this Radha Dev and youngsters, Let us prepare well.
Yes, sir. No, sir, we have experience. They have technological know-how. It's okay.
Anyhow, we should also go to the English new literature and equip ourselves.
Yes, sir.
Let us, you and I, together plan and then compete with this youngsters.
Yes, sir. Because these people, they are digging deep into the caves and bringing out so many new things. Once they talk of technology, and the other time they talk of something fantastic.
Yes, ma'am.
They are really, that way, Delta Forum is a rich forum.
Ma'am, I am eagerly waiting for your speech one day. Since my arrival, I haven't.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, from which university? From
Ma'am, I am from Government Girls College, Sikar, Rajasthan.
Oh, Rajasthan. Oh,
yes.
Superb, ma'am, superb.
Why Rajasthan? I'm on Andhra Pradesh. Is it not superb?
What about from Andhra Pradesh, sir?
I have been for some time at Bellary also. Yes. So my father happened to be a central government employee, so I went all around India. So sometime in Gujarat, but that time I was very too young to remember things, and a lot of Uttar Pradesh. So if we have someone from Meerut or anywhere, I can relate to them.
Ma'am, did your father happen to work in this Andhra Pradesh area? No.
He was in Bellary, sir.
Oh, he was Bellary. Bellary is not a people, but Kannada is spoken, there.
Yes, and we were very, very small those days. But since education began in those days for us.
How old were you when you were in Bangalore, ma'am? In Bellary, your father?
I was hardly 4-5 years.
Oh. Perhaps you might not have picked up any Telugu word, even though you have picked up, perhaps you might have.
No, Vando, Yeradu, Muru, that I still remember. We used to count like that. After that, yes, I carried the food element. Even today, I love South Indian food.
Have you visited Tamil Nadu, ma'am?
Pardon?
Have you visited Tamil Nadu, ma'am?
Ma'am, I have been up to Kanyakumari, but I was just in Bellary. Actually, we stayed, and I studied. And after that, we went around as tourists, but never stayed long anywhere. Because as my father's posting shifted,
Okay, ma'am.
yeah.
And I have not visited, especially Tamil Nadu so far, and not other, any other any state other than Andhra Pradesh, mostly confined to. And once or twice I have been to Madras for my daughter to get her Hindi certificate from Hindi Prachara Sabha. Madras is my favorite place, because Madras was often described in the novels of our Telugu, by Telugu people mostly, especially from Nellore to Nellore. From Nellore, Madras was quite nearby.
So nice, sir. Here on Welta Forum, we are visiting all the places.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
See, the connectivity has been great here.
Yes, yes, yes. You can conclude, ma'am, or Sarvana has to.
Sir.
2 more minutes, sir, and we are waiting for the feedback link.
Sure, sure, sure.
Okay, sir.
Yes. In the meantime, you can keep going, doing the discussion. Radhi ma'am, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. Next time I would like to present on phonetics subject.
Sure, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I love phonetics.
Ma'am,
very good.
tomorrow we have session, open session. That's what. Tomorrow we have slots. If you are interested, tomorrow itself you can join.
Tomorrow itself, I have to prepare PPT, sir. Transcriptions, you must watch it, no?
Yeah. You take your time. Saying tomorrow also we have tomorrow. I have not taken any bookings. So if you are interested, you can.
Within this week, yes, sir, surely I will take.
Also.
Rathan ma'am, I would like to listen to your speech because eagerly wait for your speech, because I am not interested in phonetics, and that's the subject which bores me,
Not interested in phonetics.
especially whatever bit of the pronunciation I have learned, it was from my teachers, that's all. And if at all I had to teach phonetics, with a boredom, I go to the class and very meticulously I present. And that's why let us see if I can be taught this phonetics by Rati ma'am. I would like to say.
Sir? Taranam, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I end the stream?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, you can.
Yes, sir.
1 minute, ma'am. We will close the thing by proposing vote of thanks. I take this opportunity to thank all the elite and learned colleagues, especially those who actively presented as well as participated. And again, in the discussions, it was really fruitful discussions we had, and really humbling experience and the learning experience for all of us. And again, very interesting, both for the Kani ma'am as well as our Ada Dev ma'am. Different topics from different sources, and again, a very enriching and rewarding experience. And also, I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Malvi Sharma ji, Dr. Chandrasekhar sir, and Dr. Radhi madam, and Dr. Valli madam, Kiran sir, Alok Chandra sir, all of you for gracing this occasion, and again, all the other learned and elite participants for your august presence and valuable time. Thank you, everyone, and good night. Also, kindly give me 2-3 minutes so that I can get into feedback. Thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Oh,
The discussion can keep going, and again, Valli ma'am, you can turn off, ma'am.
Yes,
Turn off
sir.
the live thing.
Yes, sir. In stream.